All right, everybody, welcome to episode 138 of the Fantasy Timeline, a proud member of the Dynasty Addicts Podcast Network. I'm Josh at Real Fantasy TL. I'm with the co-host with the most, Drew at DR_PRA. Drew, how you doing, man?
I am thrilled to be back. It was fun to listen to you and Bill talk through some things last week. Took me back a couple of years. Got some stuff moved around the house. I think. Thank you, Bill, for stepping in. But excited to be back and see where we are this week.
It's always good to have a little blast from the past and have Bill in. He jumped right up to it when I texted him and said, "Hey, would you be down?" He was like, "Yeah, let's do it." It was a lot of fun, but you're the other half of the fantasy timeline. So back, it's good. You know what else is good? Scott Fishbowl week, baby. We started this thing on a
So good.
Monday. Some people are further ahead than they would like. Some people are not where they would want to be. But I always say to people, just enjoy this, man. Because once your draft is over, nothing happens till like the end of August when waivers open for the first
Waiting
time.
time.
And trust me, it is July 13th. If you're done by, let's say, July 19th, you got like a month and a half to go before anything happens. And things are going to
Sure
happen.
do.
Players are going to get hurt in training camp. You're going to be like, oh man, this team looks so great. And then it's going to be like, oof, all right, when waivers open, I got to make changes. So just enjoy this because right now, you know where everybody's at, except for one guy. I'm not going to mention his name. But besides that, everyone else, you know where they're at. They're healthy, they're happy, they're with their new team. And this is like the best time of year. It's amazing that Scott Fish put together something that just like brings people from all parts of the industry together. Um, I have a really cool person from ESPN in my division. Uh,
Nice.
I don't think she's a name that most people would know, but she is super nice. She is in our division chat, cutting it up, talking. Uh, we have the FF German in our division, so it's fun when he's talking about the time zone differences and everything like that, and we're like, all right, hey, listen,
That's awesome.
yeah, it's really cool. I'm in the 12s chat because I got that 12 pick, and uh, Heath Cummings from CBS is like super active in that thing, and that dude is busy as anything. Even this time of year when you don't think
That's
fantasy
wild.
is really happening, uh, you got the Monday Mommy in there, and then you just got like a bunch of normal people that are like, "Hey, what's going on? What's good? What do you think about this pick? What do you think about this start?" So it's just so much fun. It brings so many people together, and on top of all of that, it's for a really good cause. So it's like it's awesome. I get pumped about it, as you can tell. But we'll probably talk about our teams. Tell everybody what we think of our teams. But a special someone, also sent us their team to take a look at and see what we thought about. So we're gonna. I'll start with a little Scott Fishbowl, not rant because it's not a bad thing. Speech, I guess, and we'll end with some Scott Fishbowl too. So in the meantime, though, before we get to the end, we got to start at the beginning. We had some news, and I didn't think we were going to have news this week. It was a no news week, and then this turned it into a slow news week. So Nikhil Harry traded to the Bears for a seventh round pick. So obviously Nikhil Harry, former first round pick of the New England Patriots, wide receiver. All right, so are we just shooting Justin Fields up our boards now? He's finally got the
Oh
the
my
wide
God.
receiver we've all been begging for him to get, and we're all happy now. We're good to go, right? What do you think about this, Drew?
Oh my God. Good for Bill Belichick and the Patriots to get something for Harry at this point. If you can get
Did
something
they
for
really
him
get
now
some?
on your dynasty team, hey, they'll make something out of it. that's one of those moves that Bill will parlay into another pick, move up to the 5th somehow with that, bundle that 5th, and all of a sudden now they've got an extra 3rd in 2024 or something.
Here we go. We got somebody who's looking at the positive of it. Tater Wolf, who's in the Junkies 2 with us, says Nikhil Harry now on my team. Hey, man, listen, do I think anything is going to happen? No. I'm like 99% that this is whatever. But there's that 1%. Maybe it was just the fact that Tom Brady didn't like him, and then Bill Belichick didn't like him. Maybe he gets that instant chemistry with Justin Fields, and he turns into something. I mean, let's think about it like this way. He doesn't have to be a wide receiver 1 to make this a move that Chicago can be happy about. But if he's 750 yards, 6 touchdowns, and look at that depth chart, though. There's Darnell Mooney, right? We got Darnell Mooney. We're putting him to the side here. Let's look at this competition. Velus Jones, rookie. Okay, we'll see what happens. Who else is on that team? Because I think everyone else on the wide receiver room has been arrested. So
yeah, wide receiver room is rough.
And even before them, what was Byron Pringle and who was MVS there? I mean, come on, so yes, is Nikhil Harry? Was he ever a world beater at any time? Maybe when he got taken in the first round, that was his world beater status, but he hasn't done anything in the league. But I mean, neither has anyone else that was really on that roster at the wide receiver position. And like I said, a couple of them have been arrested already. I think Dante Pettis is on that in that room.
Yeah, Equinemius St. Brown, Daz Newsome.
Oh, that's what I was thinking of. Equinemius St. Brown, not MVS. That's my fault.
Tajay Sharp.
So you gave me a look when I said 750 and 6 touchdowns. There's not a lot to fight with. Now I'm not saying that Nikhil Harry has a bunch of weapons, to fight these guys off with, but he's big and he's actually still younger than Velus Jones. So I mean,
oh yeah,
we could put that out there. Here we go. Tater Wolf back at us again. He said, I have Monty, Velus, and Harry on my Junkies 2 team. Just realizing this now. Well, it's cool because Monty, I mean, we're a pro Monty podcast here. We think he's criminally disrespected. Velus Jones is just an unknown. I'm not saying that Velus Jones is not going to be good, but he's a rookie. We don't know. Guess what? Nikhil Harry, when he was a rookie, we thought he was going to be good. Hasn't worked out so far. And then you have obviously the man, the myth, the legend himself. So all I'm saying is that, it wouldn't be shocking, Tater Wolf even dropped my project 604. I mean, if they get that for a 7th round pick, he's not, he's not setting your fantasy team on fire. He might be one of those bye-week filling guys if he got hot a couple weeks before you had to put him in. But you know what I mean? We'll see what happens. But I had to talk this up a little bit because it was the only thing we had in the news this week. We had Baker last week, and Baker was all kinds of implications, and now it's kind of Nikhil Harry, and it's okay, cool. So hopefully next week someone bigger than Harry gets traded or released or something, so we have a little bit more to talk about in the news portion of this. But guess what? Since the news portion of this is short, let's go to the timeline, man. This is what we love to do anyway. So let's go. This first one is from Matthew Morris at Peak FF9, and I am going to take you behind the curtain a little bit. Matthew is in my division. He is in the Capital, And I feel like the capital is such an apropos city to be coming out of, because winning Scott Fishbowl is literally like the Hunger Games. There are a whole bunch of people trying to do anything that they can to survive this thing, because, you know, obviously I've never won it, but I feel like to win it, you really are just surviving. You did the right thing at the right time. You got the right bit of luck, and you end up as a survivor. And that Hunger Games, that's what the whole movie is about: being the sole survivor and winning the whole thing. So, but yeah, Matthew is in my division. I think he's been having a pretty good SFB draft so far. Don't tell him I said that, because I don't like to give any of my division mates their props. That's not true. I love everybody in my division. But here's his question. He's in a 12-team half PPR Superflex league. He is sending away A.J. Dillon. He is getting back, not friend of the show, Trey Sermon, mostly because of things I said about him, and a mid-2024 first. Let me just break this down one more time. A.J. Dillon for Trey Sermon and a mid-2024 first. Drew, I'm going to let you start here. Which side of this do you like? Are you on with Quadzilla, A.J. Dillon, or is it more of a give me that pick a couple years from now? I like it.
I would lean Dillon. Like you said, I mean, Sermon is neither here nor there. And that mid-20, I mean, so hard to project what that 24 first is really going to be. But yeah, I think I would probably rather have Dillon on my team for the next couple of years and see what happens with Aaron Jones after this year. Some of it depends, I think, where your team is. So if his team is looking like it needs to retool over the next year or two, then sure, take an extra first. And even then, I would wait maybe till the season, see if you can get more once you get into the season. But at face value, I would take Dillon now over that mid-2024 first.
All right, good. I like when we start off and we can disagree about something. It's not a big disagreement, because honestly, everything you said is 100% right. But I think I go the pick here. And before I get into my explanation, there's one thing I want to thank you for saying. We don't know where this pick is going to be. Let's face it, a team that we think is going to be middle of the pack in 2024 gets a rash of injuries and they become a top 2 team. Or they hustle, they make a bunch of trades, they make some good draft picks in 2023, and they're battling for a championship. So I'm just thinking about this as a 2024 first. Random, we don't know where it's going to be. Listen, I think A.J. Dillon is a good player, and I'm going to admit I am changing my stance, because when he first came out, I did not think he was going to be a good NFL player. And he's proven that he probably is going to be a really good NFL player. But 2024, when it's all him, does Green Bay just use another second-round pick to do the whole time share thing again? They always did it with Aaron Jones, and we always thought Aaron Jones was a good player, a really good player. And Jamal Williams was there. And then when Jamal Williams wasn't there, A.J. Dillon was there. So does Green Bay just go, hey, we're going to draft, insert second-round running back here, and kind of always keep A.J. Dillon in that capped territory? I personally think they are. And at that point, would you, kind of going into the time machine, would you trade a first-round pick, a random 24 first, for a guy that will be in a timeshare at the running back position? That's kind of how I'm looking at it. But if I'm wrong, and it's just, insert journeyman running back here, insert 5th round running back here instead of 2nd round running back, AJ Dillon or bust, I mean, he's probably going to be a top 7 guy. That's probably the floor is 7. If he's allowed to run, he's proven he can catch the ball. I mean, he's a massive dude, and he kind of looks like he would have bricks for hands, but he's shown in limited opportunities, very limited opportunities, that he can catch too. So, but I'm just kind of going off of what Green Bay has historically shown us for the past 7 seasons, however long Aaron Jones has been in town. So yeah, I'm gonna go with what a team shows me until they show me something different. And that's why I think the 24 first, because think about it too, a lot of people don't like trading for running backs. And they definitely don't like trading first round picks for running backs. Because we are adopting the mentality that I think good NFL teams and all of us think every NFL team should adopt. Running backs are replaceable. Get that guy. If you get a JT or a Christian McCaffrey or Zeke or whatever that level player, run them into the ground. Then tell them, thank you for your service. Go get as much money as you can from someone else. And then hopefully during that time, you've reloaded with, Tony Pollard type guys and things like that, you're not totally out, if you let a guy like that go. But it seems like kind of Green Bay is usually one of those teams that makes smart moves. So let's see. But that's a good one to start off with. So unfortunately, Matthew, we kind of went 50-50 here. I liked your trade. Drew would keep AJ Dillon in your position, but hopefully something that either one of us said helps you out and it kind of triggers something for you. You know what? We got a couple questions here. I want to hit these questions up because I love when the chat brings. This is from our boy, Recovering Ridley Truther. Yo, gents, in a 14-team Superflex league with analysts, is 1202 too early to draft either Trubisky, Mariota, or Goff? Only other QBs are Fields, Justin Fields, and Mac Jones so far. So 14 teams changes the game. If this is 12 team, I say, yo, you know what? Forget it. Don't even worry about it right now. 14 team is a lot different. Scarcity is obviously a lot more. Drew and I, we're actually in a 14 team startup right now. We punted in the first round, and they just kept flying off the board to the point that when we got to the second round, there wasn't value in quarterback. And then we punted again and didn't take one to the third round, and then traded into the third round again to take Tom Brady and Ryan Tannehill, because that's how fast quarterbacks are going. Now, I will say there's one other thing to consider. What do your other teams look like? And does it look like a potential run is going to start? And that's kind of the thing in 14-team leagues. You're at the 1202. So you are the beginning of this round. Have 1 or 2 or 3 quarterbacks come off already? Because if they have, you better do it now. Because probably Trubisky, Mariota, and Goff are going to be gone by the time you wrap back around. If not, and teams have been sitting on quarterbacks for, 3, 4, 5 rounds, nothing's really been happening, maybe you want to stretch it out a little bit. Maybe you say, oh, not this pick. There's some value wherever, running back, tight end, wide receiver, wherever you see the value. And then I'll hit those guys up next time. Now, out of those 3 quarterbacks, and I'll pose this question to you, Drew. This is a tough one. Because I think for 2022, I think Goff is the safest pick, as funny as that is to say. But I think Trubisky gives you the most of wild card. If a year in Buffalo with Dayball, kind of got some things straightened out. He's got Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, George Pickens, Pat Freiermuth, Najee Harris. Like, he took bad Bears teams to the playoffs. Like, we kind of forget that, and it's fun to, like, make fun of Mitch Trubisky. I get it. But, like, he's shown that he can make Allen Robinson a wide receiver 1. Like, he's done that. So, and that's with, like, who was the number 2 on that team? Like, for real, who was the number 2 on that team?
Oh, God.
Darnell Mooney wasn't there.
Kevin White on the bench.
Drew. It could have been you. I don't even know. And that's what I'm saying. So, but obviously, we've seen bad Mitch Trubisky before. We've seen that. It has happened in front of our eyes. So if you want to go safe, I would say go Goff. If you want that like wild card upside guy, I would go Mitch Trubisky. But probably all of these guys are either backups or not with their current team in 2023. So you're also looking at kind of a QB3 that is just there to, and that's what they're there for, filling bye weeks, in case of an injury, blah, blah, blah. So here you go. Drew, I'm going to pose it to you now. Is 12:02 too early to go for Trubisky, Mariota, or Goff? If you did have to go for one of those guys, who would you go for?
Not too early, especially knowing you're going to have, what's the math, 24 picks until your next pick. That's just too risky to watch those guys go off the board. And it's just that sinking feeling every time you refresh the page. So I would absolutely grab one of them. And I agree, Josh, I would go with Goff. I think he has the best shot to play the whole season. Trubisky is staring down Pickett there. And, Mariota, we're hoping he can hold up for the season. But, the guy has not played in a few years. He's had his own injury past. So I would go with Goff this year. And being, a number 1 overall pick, he may still get another shot next year to compete at least for a starting job somewhere else. So you may have that opportunity and upside. So yeah, I'd go and snag Goff here and then kick back for the 20-some picks, unless again, you want to look at maybe trading into the back end of the 12th round or the beginning of the 13th. If you really like somebody here, that's the beauty of the startup pick. But you gotta have a feel for who your league mates are and what the likelihood is, and what are you willing to give up to get back in to get a shot at one of those quarterbacks if you really want them after whoever you pivot to right now.
There you go. And we got another one here. From Tater Wolf again. This is a question from Corey. So Corey is also in Junkies too. Question for the show. Would you sell Adams to the potential 22 champ for his 23 first and second 12-team Superflex? So if he made this trade, would have 3 firsts and 3 seconds for next year. All right, Drew. I'm going to start this one off with you since I kind of took the first shot at the last question. Are you selling Adams for 23 first and second?
Not today. I'll wait until we get in the season, and if that's really going to be what puts you over the top, and if that competing team really wants to make that, strong push or feel like they've got maybe 3 wide receiver 1s to carry them this year, then they will give you more than that 23 first, I believe. I know 23 firsts are really hard to get, and their pricing is outrageous. But when the rubber meets the road and it's time to start looking at wins and losses, points, playoff seeding, I think you'll get to a point where you'll have the leverage will shift, especially if Adams does what he's capable of doing. And, if he and Carr rekindle that connection, I think the Raiders are going to be sneaky good this year. I think a lot of it will depend on their defense in that division. But I think it's going to be a good year for a lot of those guys on the Raiders, including Adams, who's just, probably he's got to be a top 2 or 3 wide receiver in the NFL at this point, just with how good he is at getting separation, getting open. So yeah, I would wait personally.
You stole the words right out of my mouth. listen, Devonta Adams, his value is probably the lowest it's going to be all season, barring an injury. He's not playing right now. He's not getting anybody any points. So the value is down. It happens. May not be down a lot, but it's down. And guess what? If Devonta Adams is wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, come week 10, when teams are really assessing, I have a shot. Can I win in the playoffs? Guess what? You're going to have more than just the potential 22 champ knocking on your door. That guy in second place is going to knock on your door. That guy in third place is going to knock on your door. And they have already told themselves a story that Devonta Adams is a piece that can get them from third to first, from second to first, and win the whole thing. And guess what? There are teams sometimes that are like going to pull into that sixth spot who think all they need is Devonta Adams to win them the whole damn thing. It happens every year. I have done it myself. I have fooled myself into thinking that as a 6 seed, all I need is a big time name and a little bit of luck, and I can win a championship. And sometimes it works. Most of the time it doesn't. So I think you're going to have more than just one guy knocking on your door if Devonta Adams does what we've seen Devonta Adams do on the regular. So hold, you know. And Drew, you said you think the Raiders are going to be sneaky good. The funny thing is that the Raiders were real sneaky good last year because we have all forgotten that they were a playoff team. They almost beat the Bengals in the first round, the AFC representative to the Super Bowl. Like, we've kind of forgotten about. I get it. The AFC East has been where like every Pro Bowl player has like gone to reside now. You know, we have, you know, wide receivers, you know, heading over there. We got, you know, defensive ends. We have linebacker, you know, anybody that's a big name, they've come over there. And Devonta Adams is one of those guys. And he's got probably the most talent around him to actually take defenses away from him. Hunter Renfrow was wide receiver 1 last year for fantasy. Darren Waller is, you know, at worst a top 5 tight end in all of our startup drafts and, you know, Scott Fish Bowls and all that. So that's the most talent. Yeah, does he get a downgrade at quarterback? Sure he does. But he played with that guy in college. So at least there's not going to be a big learning curve of, all right, what do you do in this situation? Where are you going to go in this option? Yep. They kind of know that stuff already. So there you go. And I'm gonna just go through some of these. Talking about bell cow backs for the Packers. Here you go from Jason Reel. Wasn't Lacey the last bell cow back they had? I think that's right. I mean, Big Eddie is right, man. That dude was one plate away from 300 at all times. So there you go. Trying to see anything else.
This is an interesting one here. Tater Wolf, you know, he replied and said, "Good point. Hold out for the 23 and 24 first. What if the offer was up to a 23 and 24 first now for this team? Would you do that now, or would you still wait?"
I'd do it because I think that's going to be what max value is. I think max value is going to be 2 first because he's going to be, what, 29?
Yeah.
What is he right now? He's 28 right now, right?
He's got to be, yeah. He's got to be up there. So, yeah, I mean, you can tell Corey if he wants to counter for that 23 and 24 first, I think Josh and I would both go after that now for Devonta Adams and see if that competing team wants to lock him up.
Yeah. You know, if someone wants to make the big offer now, let them do it and take your win. But if, you know, first and a second, is it a good deal, or is it it's not a crazy deal. It's not like, you know, you're like, oh, what is this guy thinking? Like, for a first and a second, that's ridiculous. You know, it's worth a lot more. But I think, you know, again, like I said, barring injury, and that's anybody, barring injury, I think the deal can be a whole lot better. So, you know, hold out. You know, I know he's older, and I know, you know, rebuild, sometimes they panic because they go, I got this old guy. I got to get rid of him right now. Doesn't always need to be right now. So you kind of have to read the tea leaves. You got to say, all right, this isn't, some of the guys we were talking about before with the Bears, this is a guy who is been established for multiple years, multiple wide receiver 1 years. We know that he has, all the talent in the world to be wide receiver 1, not a wide receiver 1, but the wide receiver 1. And you don't want to off right away just because someone sent you a deal and he's old and you're rebuilding, because you'll be pretty mad if, week 3, he has 3 straight 100-yard games. He has, 4 touch, and you're like, oh, I definitely would have gotten more for him at this point. So, there you go. So let's go right back to the show sheet here. All right, this is a good one from Jake Estes at Dynasty Jake. 12-team Dynasty, 1-point PPR. Who are you taking? Skye Moore or Antonio Gibson? And this is going to play into kind of a larger point that I'm getting into, but we'll answer the question first, and then I'll kind of take us down a road here. Drew, why don't you go first again, since I'm going to take us down a road? Is it Skye Moore or is it Antonio Gibson?
This is harder than I thought it would be at first glance. I think ultimately I still land with Antonio Gibson. I think he'll still be a good running back this year. I don't think he's ever going to be the bell cow that we thought or we hoped he would be after his rookie year. But I get it. Skye Moore has Patrick Mahomes throwing to him. We have some more opportunities there with Tyreek out of the way, but it's just so hard to guess who's after Kelsey, who's going to be the person there. So I think the conservative side of me says I'll take Gibson. I'll take his involvement. If he's, even if he scales back a little bit this year, I think he's talented enough to be pretty efficient. So I'll take another season or two of decent scoring from Gibson in most cases, unless I'm just absolutely flush at running back.
All right, let me ask you another question that is not on the show sheet. Would you trade? You haven't had a rookie draft yet. Would you trade Antonio Gibson for the 109?
I would probably rather have Antonio Gibson.
Okay. Because I think that the community will probably take the 109. Especially since we have the knowledge of the actual NFL draft in our pocket, saying, okay, they drafted Brian Robinson, and they obviously made a good enough pitch to J.D. McKissick to steal him from your Buffalo Bills. So they're obviously still all in on this. Antonio Gibson is never going to be even partially a bell cow back or a lead back. This is running back by committee, which is so funny considering what Ron Rivera said when Antonio Gibson first got drafted, that he was CMC. We all laughed, but boy, did they totally take that in another direction. I think like the 109 at that point. I think I am. Like, give me the pick. Excuse me. Because I love Antonio Gibson. I love the talent that he shows on the field. But Washington doesn't love him as much as I do. And that's what I got to look at. I got to look at how the team plans on using him. And the team plans on, not using him in the way that we want. He's not going to get any important touch that we like our running backs to get. He's not going to get the receptions, and he's not going to get the goal line stuff. And at that point, it's like, all right, well, unless he's going to average 5 yards a carry, like, what are we doing with this guy? So now that I just said the 109 because I think that's what his ADP is in rookie drafts. Skye Moore, I love some Skye Moore. I don't think I got any Skye Moore, which makes me very very sad. But I love some Skye Moore, man. I love that dude. I think he's going to be so good. So in this situation, I also take Skye Moore. I like the fact that we're not agreeing on stuff. It makes the show a little bit more fun. But yeah, man, I think Skye Moore is so good, and he came out of Central Michigan, so we didn't talk about him. We didn't have all the hype piece like we did for the Garrett Wilsons coming out of Ohio State and the Jameson Williams coming out of and Chris Olave also coming out of Ohio State. We didn't have a ton of pieces on him because Central Michigan, who cares? But dude is good. I like him a lot. And, we'll have to see. We'll have to see.
Well,
we'll have to see. I almost thought
if I knew that I had somebody in my league that was as into Skye Moore as you are, which I guess there seems to be a person or two because his ADP is up there, and Tater Wolf here is saying even up to the 107. Then I think there could be something to be said about, yes, take the pick, and then you know what, I would definitely do the legwork to move that pick and see what I can get out of you to get your precious Skye Moore and let me move back into the top of the second and gain some value somewhere else. But yeah, if it's straight up 107, like Tater Wolf says, I would take the 107. I would take Chris Olave there. I would not take Skye Moore. Or again, depending on who else fell. But
I would take Skye Moore. But I've been on record about how I feel about Chris Olave, so I would take Skye Moore.
How did you not get any Skye Moore if you feel this good about him? You're in enough leagues that you've had enough picks throughout the first to have a shot at him.
You know why? Because any of the leagues that I had a high pick in, I didn't have the 101 anywhere. So it was usually like 102, 103. I couldn't trade those things if my life depended on it. I tried every which way, and everybody was like, no, there's like 7 other guys that I feel just as good as whoever you're going to take at 102. So the trade game was hard. Or I was at the back of the round and Skye Moore wasn't making it there. And, I guess I didn't really try to trade up a lot just because I was like, you know what? There's a bunch of guys I like. So why give up additional assets? So, or I traded them for actual players, which I think I did that a lot more than I did, trying to trade up. But we'll see. I know I'm very much on an island because I see some of the Chris Olave love pouring in. I know I'm very much on an island with Chris Olave, but we'll see. In a couple of years, one side will be right. Either the community will be right and I'm an idiot, or I knew it all along. And it's not for me to rub it in anybody's face because we're all just. I can't remember who it is, and I feel bad. I heard it on another podcast. We're all just guessing here. Even with all the information that we have, we're all still just guessing. So, let's hit up this next one. This is from Fantasy U at Fantasy U 365. Who would you draft first, Cam Akers or Travis Etienne? So 2 guys that got hurt last year. One of them came back in the playoffs. The other one, his team did not make the playoffs, so there was no reason for him to come back. But it's a new year. Who do you like here? Is it Cam Akers, who everybody I think in the world loves except for Rocky and I, or is it Travis Etienne, which I think everyone in the world loves except for Rocky.
And me.
Oh, you're not a Travis
I would
Etienne guy.
take Cam. I'm not a big ETN fan. Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of him coming out as a rookie, and then I think his injury is a little more unpredictable. We've seen, we're starting to see some of the Achilles injuries. People work through those, some taking longer than others. And Akers did not look great coming back, but the fact is he came back to game shape. It was not elite, and he didn't perform like we expected him to, but another 7-8 months since the last time that he played, I think I would feel if I was pressed to take one or the other, I would take Cam pretty easily over ETN at this point.
All right. So this is tough. And I remember talking to Rocky about this last year after ETN got drafted in the first by the Jags. I said, look, we don't know, he said it was a terrible pick and all this stuff. And I said, we don't really know until the games get played. So Travis Etienne becomes a Hall of Famer. Nobody's gonna say the pick was bad. They're just not. Now, if the guy's out of the league in 3 years, and he was never any good when he was on the field, it's a really bad pick. You remember Jamarcus Russell and Calvin Johnson went back to back. Think about that, and two totally different trajectories of their careers. I have warmed a little bit on Travis Etienne because my thing was always, all right, well, excuse me, what is, what is Travis Etienne's role? Like, what is he going to Sorry, I got a little hair stuck in my throat. Because I didn't know what Urban was going to do. It was just we kind of saw it in the beginning. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence was the unanimous number one pick. I don't think anyone was really arguing that, but they had 2 first-round picks and a lot of needs, and they decided to go to running back when they already had James Robinson, who proved that he could play.
Mm-hmm.
But this year, there's no James Robinson. He's hurt. People are like, he might come back at this time. He might come back at this time. We don't know. We don't know how his body's going to take to the injury. We don't know how his rehab's going to go. We don't know if setbacks are going to happen. And by the time he's ready to play, Jacksonville might be very well out of it. And they just go, all right, we're going to shut you down for the whole year. We want you back to not 85 or 90%. We want you back at 100%. We're just going to shut you down. I like the fact that T-Law and ETN played in college. So it's nice to have a guy out there when things break down. You know where he's going to be. You know what he's going to do. You know what his tendencies are. Especially when literally pretty much your whole receiving core is different than it was last year. I mean, they spent money. I don't know if they did it well, but they. So, I like that about him. And honestly, I feel like the Cam Akers hype has always been a little bit too much. Like a little bit too much. We've made this guy a top 10 guy, and barring maybe a handful of games, he's never proven himself to be a top 10 guy. He hasn't. And the stats say so. So I guess in a way, I'm taking the unknown over the known. Like, I think Cam Akers will be a fine running back, an okay running back. But for where I have to take him, I'd rather take Travis Etienne. A couple rounds later, let me fill up in those 2 rounds with some other guys that are better, and Then I'll take Travis Etienne and we'll see what happens. But here we go. I like this. I missed this, but I want to put it up here real quick from the chat. Recovering Ridley Truther. If Moore has more receptions than Olave, Drew's got to put
Keep
in 20
scrolling.
miles on that sweet Peloton in the background. I think that should be bonus content if Skye Moore has more receptions than Chris Olave. You put in a 20-pack on the old Peloton. What do you say, Drew?
That's gonna be one boring episode.
No, man, because we'll have people come in. We'll have guys and girls from the DAP network come in. We'll do commentary on your ride. Maybe we'll do
that might also be a
show.
month's worth of episodes to get to 20 miles. Might have to break that up into payments.
There you go. And maybe what we'll do is we'll do a show while you're biking in the background, and then toss questions to you while you're biking, and see if your cardio is good enough to answer questions while you're on the Peloton. That was a good one though. Really Truther.
We might be able to work something out there. Might not be 20 miles, but
we might be able to do something. But all right, here's another one here from Motown Matt at whatever 24. Usually I'm not a fan of all the numbers, but at least it was like very easy to read. So Motown Matt, you get a pass from my normal rant about this stuff. All right, this is a 12-team Superflex PPR Dynasty League. T. Higgins and Saquon Barkley for Kyler Murray. Tough.
What you think, Josh?
Actually, no, it's not. I'm going with Kyler. Like I said, it's 12-team. There's not that quarterback scarcity that you're usually worried about. But Kyler he's a first-round pick, man. In every startup, he's at worst, probably a top 8 quarterback. And if I'm not getting a quarterback in return, they're dead. You gotta give me more than T. Higgins, who I love. I love T. Higgins. He's actually my, spoiler alert, he's my wide receiver 1 in SFB. So I really like T. Higgins. But you're giving me the wide receiver 2, on a good offense, on a really good offense. But it's not Jamar Chase. And then you're giving me Saquon Barkley. He's CMC NFC East. Dude, I hear all this stuff. Oh, it was a freak injury here, and it was this injury there, and it takes a year to do this, but guess what, man? Like, I don't like running backs that consistently get injured. I just don't. Running back is a tough position. It's a position where guys get hurt all the time, which is why we don't really see bell cow backs anymore. We see committees because you can't rely on one guy to keep you in it, because if they get hurt, you got nothing else going on. So, yeah, you have that too. Nah, man, this is Kyler for me all day. What do you think, Drew? Please tell me you're on the other side. We've been disagreeing most of the day today. So are you gonna keep it going?
No,
are you going with
I am on Kyler's side here pretty easily. I don't know if people are scared about him going to play baseball or what, but yeah, I mean, you're taking T. Higgins, who, in a 12-team startup is going where? Maybe in the 4th round.
Yeah.
He's probably a top 50 player, right? Top 60 players, so top 4 or 5 rounds.
Yeah, I think he's a top 50. Yeah.
Yeah, and he might even be going before Saquon in some drafts, depending on how your league mates look at running back here, right?
Wouldn't be surprised.
You're looking at Saquon, who I think for most people is on his last chance to prove he is who we all thought he was coming out of Penn State, for Kyler, who again maybe hasn't lived up to all the hype and all the expectations, but yes, is easily a top 10 quarterback any given season, any given week. Has the opportunity to be the quarterback 1 in any given week, based on the weapons that he will have. his legs. So I put this up here because, and I didn't put the percentages on here because I didn't want to throw you off too bad. But currently, when I put this on about an hour and a half ago, it was 61% in favor of the package and only 39% that said Kyler. So a 3-to-2 ratio here. So if you've got T. Higgins, who a lot of people are in love with, which rightfully so, he's not even the wide receiver too. He's the 1B on that team, right? And that's the beauty of that duo is you can't just take away Jamar Chase and you can't just take away T. Higgins. You got to do the whole Bill Belichick thing probably, which is double team Chase and put your best DB on Higgins. But even then, you assume Mixon or somebody else on that team is going to hurt you. So the T. Higgins love, I think, is 100% legitimate. But then a declining running back, I mean, you'd have to throw in, I don't know what it would be for you, but I mean, does Mac Jones, if you add Mac Jones to this package, does it make it close enough for you? Or does that tip the scales enough to take the package at that point in a 12 team?
I'm
seriously starting 10 plus.
I'm seriously thinking about it if you put Mac Jones on there. I'm not saying I'm for sure accepting, but I'm seriously sitting down and kind of going back and forth about this. I'm not sure where I would land depending on my team. What's that? Trevor Lawrence? Oh, yeah. We're done. I'm making that deal. Yeah, for sure. Okay, yeah, we're making that deal.
So there's room there. So yeah, I was just I was taking it back a little bit to see. I thought that maybe Twitter was doing math wrong, but I'm with you. That's Kyler for me almost every time.
So here's a question, and I'm trying to come up with like alternative to this trade. And I guess the wide receiver part is stumping me, but I'll use this example because I think once Chris Godwin comes back, Mike Evans falls back into the wide receiver 2 on a very good offense. If you make this, would you make this deal if it was Mike Evans and Nick Chubb?
No, it would have to be something like probably CeeDee Lamb and Nick Chubb.
Well, see, what I was trying to do is find that
second guy on it.
The second guy, which I know Evans is a downgrade from Higgins, but then try to upgrade the running back a little bit to see if that would switch things around. So that's why I was struggling with the wide receiver part of it because I was like, well, technically Mike Evans is the wide receiver 1 right now until Chris Godwin gets back.
Yeah.
But again, it's like one of those things where, I need better at both. If I'm not getting a quarterback in return, I need a better receiver and I need a better running back. So I was just flip it, but still kind of keep the same essence of the deal and see if that changed anything.
Yeah.
And it's just without getting a quarterback in return. And I know 12-team leagues are different. And if you somehow, maybe this is like a league that's like 4 or 5 years old, and maybe you have, Josh Allen and Kyler and Deshaun Watson and maybe Kirk Cousins. Maybe you have those 4 guys between startups and rookie drafts. Okay, I can see you saying I don't need a quarterback in return for a guy like Kyler, but I still need that mega value. I still need, Jamar Chase and Saquon or T. Higgins and who's the normal RB2? Maybe.
I mean, you got to get to like a Najee.
Yeah, there you go. So like maybe like T. Higgins and Najee. I don't even think that does it. I think you have to get like another first round guy, and who besides quarterbacks are going in the first round? It's usually JT, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. Maybe one more guy sneaks in there sometimes, but I think it's a lot of quarterbacks and then like those 3 guys for sure. So, good question though. It's always good to kind of break that stuff down and see how we would approach it from our vantage point. But let's do it. I said it at the beginning. We're going to start with SFB. We're going to end with SFB. I want you to start first, Drew. Tell us your division, where you are in the draft right now, and how much do you team currently?
So I am in the Nashville division here, and we've got a fun group. We've got a pretty active chat going on the side. A lot of joking around with some terrible players that we should be taking when we're struggling, trying to figure out who to pick. But yeah, I think overall we are sitting on the 7-10 right now. I'm picking out of the 11th spot. I wanted to be toward the end of the first round with the third round reversal. Didn't want to get all the way back to back-to-back picks and have to wait the full 22 picks between. So the 11 was my compromise. And I like my team pretty well. Definitely went a little differently than my previous builds. Last couple of years, I've gone. I think last year I went later in the round as well because of the third round reversal. But when I think quarterback fell differently last year, so I think I forgot who I had. I might have gotten Burrow or something like that a little bit later because he was coming off injury. Took him end of the first, and then I had Stafford to pair with him. But this year got to the 111, and I think it was 9 quarterbacks taken at that point. Actually, let me go back and I can tell you exactly.
Yep.
Let's go here. Josh Allen, surprise pick at 102. Travis Kelce went 102.
I've seen that in other divisions, yeah.
Then Herbert, Mahomes, Burrow, Lamar, Rodgers, Dak, Brady, Kyler. So I'm sorry. So 9 of the first 10 picks were quarterbacks, minus Travis Kelce. So then it got to me after Kyler Murray goes, and I'm sitting there looking at pretty much anything that I want. And the tight end premium isn't as heavy as some other leagues. It's not like the 2-point premium. It's the extra half point, and then it's the extra half point for the first down, which matters. But it's not that consistent, like 2-point premium. So I passed on Andrews, and I decided to go with running back 1. It's redraft. I'll take Jonathan Taylor at the 11th spot all day, risking that I was going to get a quarterback that I liked. And, funny story, sitting here at the 11th pick again, and I was staring at Russ Wilson after our startup. And I rolled the dice again, and this time it worked out. I got Russ on the turn at 202. It was going to be Russ or Stafford. That's what I was hoping. I was hoping the guy at the 112 wasn't going to get double dip on quarterback and take both of them. But even then, I had my contingency. I would have taken probably Jalen Hurts as my QB1 then at the 202 for this year. So I had a plan in place, but I ended up going with plan A, which was got JT first round and then got Russ in the second. Then it was the 12 pick wait to the 302, and I'm watching all these position players go. Kirk Cousins went at 206. Derek Carr went at 207. Andrews, Justin Jefferson went at 208. Mark Andrews 209, which is I think great value there. Then Diggs and Eckler, and then Swift. And I'm sitting here at 302 thinking, do I take a guy like Trey Lance? Do I take a guy like Trevor Lawrence? I listened to the episode with you and Bill last week thinking about, okay, who's kind of that QB2 target that maybe I need to look at. But I'm sitting there looking at Jamar Chase at 302, who I think has a shot to be the wide receiver 1 this year. I know we talked about Devonta Adams could be there. But I could not pass up on Jamar Chase at 302. So I rolled the dice and took Jamar Chase over guys like Dalvin Cook, Kyle Pitts, Trey Lance, and Devonta Adams, who went next. So now I wait the 20 picks and go all the way thinking, okay, maybe we'll have another little quarterback run in here. And I'm really going to be looking at like Daniel Jones as my quarterback too, among other names. And I know we're about to go over Rocky's team here, but we have George Kittle and then Dalton Schultz taken at the 407, which I love to see. And then I'm going down here and I get to the 411. Javonte got taken at the 409, which I was eyeballing him, waiting to see if he would get to me. And then I'm sitting here looking at the likes of Jalen Waddle, TJ Hawkinson, AJ Brown. T. Higgins was there, which crushed me because I would have loved to have taken T. Higgins at that value. But I had to take his teammate when I had the chance earlier. So I went with who I think is going to have another very good year, even with Tyreek there. And this is another duo we could have probably hypothesized about. So if you had a Jalen Waddle and a Nick Chubb, right? Or if you had a Jalen Waddle and a Najee Harris, is that enough to move to Kyler? I still don't think so, but it makes more sense at least.
Yeah.
So I rolled the dice and I pushed quarterback for another couple picks, and I picked up Jalen Waddle, who I think is going to have a lot of receptions. I think he's going to have his fair share of first downs for Tua this year on third down. And then at the 502, I was lucky. I was looking at Trevor Lawrence was still there. Mac Jones was still out there. Matt Ryan was still out there. Tannehill was still out there.
Okay.
And I got to Mac Jones at 502 because T-Law went at 501.
Okay.
So from there, the long wait to the 611 and this series of picks at 605, 606, and 607 crushed me. I thought maybe one of these guys would make it to me. Monty went, Deontay went, and then Josh Jacobs went all in a row. And I thought maybe that value would slip. But my consolation prize at 611 was J.K. Dobbins.
Okay.
As my running back to go with JT. I could have taken Antonio Gibson. I could have taken Brandon Cooks. But I went with my RB2 at Dobbins, rolled the dice because I texted you on the side. And at 702, my latest pick, my consolation prize for my wide receiver 3, won DK Metcalf.
Let's go. Let's go with DK Metcalf.
So I know he's a little polarizing this year, and we've talked about him on a few episodes. I think he's shown enough with different quarterbacks that I don't think Drew Lock or Jimmy G or whoever's going to be in that seat is going to hurt him too bad this year. I think he's going to get his, and it's going to be a lot of fun every week slotting him in. It's going to be an auto lineup set to have those 3 wide receivers start.
And let's remember, let's remember, you brought Jimmy G's name into this. Jimmy G made Brandon Ayuk a thing for a year. Remember how we were all talking coming into the season last season? Brandon Ayuk is going to be that dude. Draft him. And I said, I don't think Brandon Ayuk is going to be that dude. A lot of people disrespected me, but that's fine. But Jimmy G did that. I'm not saying he's a great quarterback or a great fantasy quarterback, but Debo was a thing. And yeah, some of it was due to rushing, but he had to catch the ball too. He didn't just do it all in the rush game. Jimmy G did that. So I think if Jimmy G ends up in Seattle, I don't think we're going to be oh man, DK Metcalf has no shot of being a top 12 guy because we've seen Jimmy G make some good fantasy wide receivers. So
side note. While we're there, sorry. What you think Jimmy G does anything for Noah Fant's value?
That's actually a really good question. This is tough because I would say no based on the offense, but the offense has never really had a Noah Fant type tight end. I mean, they had I almost said Jimmy G. Jimmy Graham for a season.
Yeah.
Or actually for multiple seasons. And I think he did have one good season in Seattle.
Yeah, it was red zone heavy.
But he was on his last leg. He was on his way out. And then, we're talking about the Will Disleys of the world and all the guys that we kind of we make jokes about. So I think Jimmy G could really do something for Noah Fant. Because I don't. The thing is that I don't think he can do anything for Tyler Lockett because the kind of the mind meld thing that Russell Wilson and Tyler Lockett
Mhm.
had was more down the field stuff, and that's not Jimmy Garoppolo's game.
Yeah.
So I think that's the guy who would get hurt in the receiving game if Jimmy G went to Seattle. But yeah, I mean, I think so because at the end of the day, no matter how you're running the offense, you have to get it to somebody besides DK Metcalf. And I
Yep.
think, you don't want that guy who can, get across the middle and get open and, kind of fight through the trash and, super athletic. And that's what Noah Fan is. So yeah, I think he could definitely pump some value into Noah Fan. I don't think we'll talk about it in that way if it happens. But I think it is kind of a sneaky, like, all right, maybe he moves up a spot or two depending on what your rankings are.
Yeah.
So
I can get on board with that. Sorry.
No, all good, all good. I love the conversation. So this is what I like about SFB is that we're all playing the same game, same rules. But man, every division is its own little snowflake, its own little flower. It's different. You said what? 8 out of your first 10 were
9.
quarterbacks.
9.
9 out of your first 10.
9.
Okay. Out of a 12 team division that we're all in, we have 4 non-quarterbacks go in the first round. And we started at the top, 101, JT, not a quarterback. And then we kept it spicy because at 102, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert. How about Lamar Jackson at 102? So at 103, the gift was given and the gift was receiving. Yeah, I said it. Of Josh Allen. Josh Allen to 103. But at 107, Austin Eckler, who was a guy I was actually considering with the 201 if it went QB heavy. I was considering Austin Eckler at 201, but it didn't go QB heavy. Then,
wow,
109. Then we went to 111. We have talked smack on this guy all off season. Christian McCaffrey, 111. So
love to see it.
Big ups to my division because they didn't give me one gift. They said, we like you so much, we're gonna give you 2 gifts. So I took my man, Dak Prescott. Come get it. Loved him last year in this scoring format. I'm gonna love him again this year in this scoring format. And then Tom Brady at 201. And
okay.
I knew he was going to be the second guy. Actually, that's not true because I was debating between him and Russ. But I knew he was going to be the guy, or I knew he was the guy I should have taken when I went on Twitter. And I saw people who were like, I took Tom Brady at 106. I took Tom Brady at 107, 108. And I was like, oh, wow. So this wasn't just a me thing. A few people kind of had this idea of taking Tom Brady early on.
Yeah.
So
109 for me.
That was 109 in your division. So there you go. So get him at 201. I was happy about it. You mentioned Josh Jacobs. He just went with the most recent pick in my division at 7-11.
Oh.
So if that's
that would have been my pick.
If that's not a kick in the groin,
right in the
I don't
pants.
know what is. But
good for you, whoever that is.
So with that third round reversal, I did have the chance for Jamar Chase, who just like in your division in 302, he went. But at 301, I have a very specific plan when I come into the fishbowl. And I'm keeping my plan very similar to what I did last year since I made it to the semifinals last year. I took Dalvin Cook at 301.
Okay.
He has come out and said recently that he's a big fan of the offense, the way they've been running it, so on and so forth. And then you know what happens. You get that 301, that reversal, then you wait. And you wait. And
22
you wait.
picks.
And you wait. You keep waiting. 412. I didn't know what was going to be there. You know who I didn't expect to be there? I didn't expect. They gave me 2 gifts. And then you know what was under my Christmas tree? An AK-47. Alvin Kamara at 412. And I said,
Okay.
well, dang. Okay. Let's do it. Let's go. And then I followed that up right away at the 501, like I told you, my wide receiver 1, who was T. Higgins. And we wrapped it back around.
Love that.
We wrapped it back around, and in the 612, I departed from my strategy. I had a very very set strategy where I was going to go QB early, and then I was going to get 1 running back until Alvin Kamara was there at 412, and I said, okay, I can't pass this up. Then hit up some wide receivers, and then like round maybe 8, 9, 10, hit that tight end. The tight end is all for me. But at 612, TJ Hawkinson was just hanging out. He was waving. He was like, hey man, how you doing?
Good God.
And I was like, let me get that. Can I go to the store and can I get a discount TJ Hawkinson? And it worked. I got that that discount TJ Hawkinson. And then I followed that up in the 7th, the 701 with Terry McLaurin. So
Okay.
I feel like I have 2 high floor wide receivers. And I got my tight end, which I wasn't expecting to have right now. So I'm kind of reevaluating
Nice.
everything and seeing how it looks. But I'm very happy with my team. And I actually saw someone tweet, who's been drafting an SFB and isn't happy with their team. But I'm like, man, I got probably 2 top 10 guys at quarterback in this thing. I got 2 guys that'll probably be top 7 running backs, barring injury and suspensions. And then, I got a top 5 tight end most likely, if he's healthy, and TJ Hawkinson.
Yep.
And the wide receivers are like, are high floor guys. Probably, both of these guys are going to be around that wide receiver 15-ish. But that's my top 2 guys, are going to be in that,
Nice.
that 13 to 17 range. So I'm pretty happy with it right now. But we got
good.
one more on the way out because
Let's do it.
we got to. And this is from our boy, friend of the show, Dat Network brother, Rocky Petrella at Dynasty FF Addict. He said, hey, you guys want to talk about SFB? He said, roast my team. And I said, I don't even know what his team looks like. He added a picture.
With pleasure.
And I said, okay. I said, roast my team. Okay. So I'm going to read off the picks, the players, and then where they were at their position, where they were taken at their position. So 111. So Rocky is a fellow 11 like yourself, Drew.
Yep.
He took the 8th quarterback off the board in Jalen Hurts. How do you feel about that, Drew?
We were actually talking about this in our 111 chat because I was debating at 111 between JT, Hurts, and Russ. I was really between JT and Russ. But then at the 202, Hurts was still there, so I was between Hurts and Russ at the 202. And there were a couple of people that chimed in, including Rocky, that said they're taking Hurts for this year, which I think for redraft, I don't hate it. I think the two quarterbacks that he's got will be really good. It's the person at the turn didn't take a quarterback in his division, so he got the QB8 and the QB9, which I think he's got a good upside guy with Hurts and the running floor there. And then I think he's got your guy Dak, who I think should be a very, very solid quarterback in this format. So I love that combo. I chose to go a different direction because I wanted what I thought would be maybe a little bit more stability first and consistency in Russ. But I don't mind the duo that he's got at all.
Yes, so like I said, I love the fact that every division is different. I guess a lot of people in my division felt about Jalen Hurts like I feel about Jalen Hurts because he wasn't taken to the 208 in my division.
Wow.
So
that's great value for whoever
a
got
full
that.
round after, almost a full round after where Rocky got him.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Hurts is kind of like an enigma to me, and here's the reason why. I don't think he's a good real life quarterback, but obviously we don't care about that. We care what he does for fantasy. But what is he going to be this year? And this is what I mean by that question. We all say he can run. He can run really well. He can run a lot. But the moves that Philly made makes it seem like they want Jalen Hurts to throw the ball more. They get AJ Green, Lord have mercy. AJ Brown. Sorry about that. AJ Brown in a draft day trade. They already have Devonta Smith, who was good last year. Was a really good wide receiver. Are they going to ask Hurts to run less and throw more? Because if that's the case, I don't know how to feel about his value at that point. That would worry me a little bit. So, like you said, Drew, it worries me taking him in the first because there's some question marks there. And I don't want that in the first round of a... Now, if I'm wrong and he runs even more, or if he greatly improves on his passing and he does kind of like a Josh Allen thing, and we've heard Rocky say before, Jalen Hurts will be Josh Allen. So maybe that's what he was thinking at 111. Then it's like you got yourself, a guy that can help you win this whole thing. But I like to keep it safe. I like to throw my, my wild card. Okay, here we go. Lindsay, I took Dak and then Hurts. And hey, if you're gonna listen to anybody, listen to Lindsay, because I think she was like top 20 or something last year. She did better. She did better than I did. I know that, and I made it to the semifinals. So, she did pretty damn good last year. Listen to her. Don't listen to me.
So Rocky is cheating off of Lindsay's work. Good. Good.
I mean, it's a smart thing for him to do. I mean, I would. So like you said, he went back-to-back quarterback with his first two picks. Then he goes back-to-back running back. At 302, he gets the fifth running back off the board in Joe Mixon. And then at 411, he gets the 15th running back off the board in Alvin Kamara. So he got the fourth round gift of Alvin Kamara as well. How do you feel about Joe Mixon as RB5? That seems a little rich to me, but maybe I'm wrong. Drew, am I wrong?
I don't hate it for redraft. I mean, they've upgraded their line. They've got a potent offense. They're going to be competing. So I mean, you're assuming what JT went before, probably Najee, maybe Swift, and then who else would go ahead of him?
So I will read off the running backs in the order that they went in my division. JT, Austin Eckler, Christian McCaffrey, DeAndre Swift, Derrick Henry, Najee Harris, Dalvin Cook, and then Joe Mixon. So it looks like about 7 or 8 guys went off the board before Joe Mixon. And I think you can
I would have
argue
taken
that
Mixon before a couple of those guys. Yeah.
would you? All right, let's play a quick game here. Mixon or Cook?
Coin flip. Probably Cook has a little bit more upside.
I'm glad you came up with the right answer there. Mixon or Najee?
I could be convinced to take Mixon over Najee in a new offense with a new quarterback potentially there.
Mixon or King Henry?
Again, I would be fine either way. I think there's a group after the top, like maybe 3 guys. So after, and I mean, you know where I feel about CMC. He can.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he shouldn't be anywhere near the top 5, even for a redraft. But after JT, I should probably take Najee over Mixon based on volume. You assume.
Thank you.
But yeah, I don't think there's. I think after maybe your top 3 or 4, it's pretty much a cluster based on who you believe in. Again, depending on your team build, if you don't want to overlap too many, position players or something like that. But yeah, I think Mixon could have a really good year based on what they did with the O-line, based on how good that offense is in general.
Here you go. Lindsay again. She said, damn, I also have Mixon. Rocky is definitely cheating. Damn right he is. And he should be.
Okay.
He should be. So then at 502 and 611, we're seeing a pattern here. He doubles up on tight end. Tight end 6 at the 502, Dalton Schultz. And then at 611, tight end 7 with TJ Hockenson. I love that Hockenson pick. I love that pick. 6'11". I got him at 6'12". I love that pick. Donald Schultz.
I respect the stack.
Dalton
Schultz. Let me ask you this: Dalton Schultz at 502 or Hayden Hurst at 5'11"?
Who took Hayden Hurst at 5? Hayden Hurst better be playing in the damn SFB this year. If anyone took it, someone took him at 5'11".
Sure did.
All right.
I went back. I went on to the. I forget what's the website here that does all the
SFB app that Josh ADHD does. Yeah.
Yeah. So I went and looked, and I had double checked, and yeah, that's the earliest he's been taken in my division.
It was in your division?
Mm-hmm.
So, let's back it up. I love all the different divisions. So you were sitting and you got an email, or maybe you didn't get an email and you just checked in and you saw Hayden Hurst 5'11".
Mm-hmm.
My goodness gracious. All right, well, that's a thing that happened. So Rocky, in that case, you got tremendous value on Dalton Schultz because 9 picks later, apparently, you could have had Hayden Hurst. I know you're higher on Dalton Schultz than I am. I'm not a huge fan of the pick there.
I am.
But I love the TJ Hockenson pick. I love that pick. So, 50-50 for me. Drew likes them both. And then we hit a. So 702 wide receiver 23, Allen Robinson. 811 wide receiver 36, Devonta Smith. At the 902 wide receiver 37, Christian Kirk. Can I tell you a secret? I like the second 2 wide receivers more than I like the first one.
I figured you would.
I mean, I don't dislike Allen Robinson. I just don't know if I like Allen Robinson as the 23rd wide receiver off the board. I think that's where my gripe would be. But I like
Yeah, I'd be
Devonta
curious to know
Smith.
which other receivers were around there.
Yeah.
I could probably go back and look in the chat and see. But
Well,
yeah, I
and
mean,
while
Allen
you're
Robinson or like Amari Cooper,
Amari Cooper,
even with potentially Jacoby Brissett.
fine. I'll still go because you know what's going to happen in that case. Jacoby Brissett is just going to only throw it at Amari Cooper. Not a soul on that team won't have more than like 8 targets because Jacoby Brissett's going to get scared and throw it to the best player on his team. Yeah, Amari Cooper. Is there anyone? Oh, while you're looking, Devonta Smith. I love that pick. I think that we have seriously downgraded Devonta Smith. Like he's going to be nothing in this offense because AJ Brown is there, and Devonta Smith was good as a rookie last year. 1,000 yards on a team that was running the ball a ton. And, you know, he gets a stack. And if you believe in Jalen Hurts, then you almost have to believe in Devonta Smith. Unless you're telling me that Dallas Goedert is going to all of a sudden become that guy that we've wanted to be since he's come into the league, or Jalen Reagor is going to learn how to play football, or Miles Sanders is going to have a ton of catches. I mean, it's going to be Devonta Smith. So I think overall the community has discounted him a lot. And I think that he's going to have a good season, a better season than a lot of people are probably expecting. And then Christian Kirk with the kind of the back-to-back at 811 and 902. I mean, Trevor Lawrence threw it over 600 times last year. That's kind of a thing that we don't mention, is that they threw the ball a lot. And I have a feeling under Doug Peterson, they're going to throw the ball a lot again. They're going to be down in a lot of games to help things out. But you're getting at least the guy who was paid to be the number one. We'll see what happens as the season goes on, but he was paid to be the number one. So I expect that he should have a pretty good target share there. And if they're throwing over 600 times, and he catches those balls, it should be a good season for him. So I like that. Did you see what other wide receivers were in that area?
No, I was trying to find his draft here and I can't find it. He's got to be on different
on the app, or just
just looking in MFL. But yeah, I'm not sure who else was there. But
that brings up a good point, because this got brought up in the 12s chat because somebody, and I can't remember what round they were in. I think it was either the 8th or 9th round. They said, "Would you take DeAndre Hopkins here?" And somebody said, "Absolutely not." And I said, "Who else is around?" Because you can slam a pick and be like, "Well, why did you take him there?" But I've been mentioning it, for the last 10 minutes? Every division is completely different. Yeah. In the 8th round, you might have options that are much more viable than DeAndre Hopkins. But you might also be in a division where wide receiver, everyone is going 0 RB, and wide receivers are just flying off the board. And do I want DeAndre Hopkins, or do I want tight end 15 or 16? Do I want DeAndre Hopkins, or do I want, wide receiver Gabe Davis? There you go. That's actually a perfect one, Gabe Davis. Or, Michael Gallup.
Oh, Lindsay found it.
Okay, here we go.
I love you, Lindsay.
Perfect. Lindsay found it. So at the time, Darnell Mooney, Rashad Bateman, Amari Cooper, Adam Thielen, and Juju were taken after Allen Robinson. Yeah, buddy. I'm taking Darnell. I'm taking Jerry. Taking Rashad. I'm taking Amari. I would take Allen Robinson over Adam Thielen. I could regret it, but I think I would. I definitely take him over Juju. I take Robinson over Juju. So yeah, there's a handful of guys there that I would have had. What do you think, Drew? Are you gonna?
I don't hate it seeing that list. I mean, Mooney, you're trusting Fields. Judy, I think Judy could be good with Russ. I hope that Russ elevates everybody there. A lot of people are a lot higher on Bateman than I am. Cooper, with the uncertainty at his quarterback. Honestly, Thielen is probably the one that if we're looking at like veteran guys that will probably produce, I don't hate Thielen, but give me Allen Robinson going with Matt Stafford and a change of scenery. Yeah, I don't dislike it as much after seeing this list. I mean, honestly, I would have taken, I probably would have taken Devonta Smith over these guys, and then hope that Robinson or one of these guys made it back in the next pick. But yeah, for this set that was taken right after him, I don't hate it.
There you go. Drew is good cop, and I'll be bad cop because the first four guys on that list I would have taken over Allen Robinson. And it's just one of those things. Do I trust Mooney? I mean, as the only game in town with the amount of targets he got last year, yeah, I'll trust Mooney in that position. I'll trust Mooney. Jerry Jeudy, yeah, that's an upside play. You can say Jerry Jeudy has never done anything, so you can at least look back at Allen Robinson and say, hey, even just 2 years ago, he was pretty damn good. Rashad Bateman is one of those things where, again, Marquise Brown is out of town. It's Mark Andrews as the number one, but Marquise Brown was pretty dang good too. So if you believe in the talent that Rashad Bateman had coming out that year, then and then Amari Cooper, I think we forget about the dark days for Amari in Oakland, because he never made it to Vegas, to Oakland. And you can say, well, Derek Carr is better than Jacoby Brissett. Sure he is. But that team was losing a lot. And Amari Cooper was still doing pretty well. I think Amari Cooper is one of those guys that he could do fine with just about any kind of quarterback. And Jacoby Brissett's been a starter in the league before. He started for the Colts, so he's not a dude that has been a career backup that has never started games. It's kind of like help me out here. The guy who was the backup for the last year with the really long neck, Mike Glennon. It's not like Mike Glennon out there where you're just like, all right, forget it. We got no shot. We're not doing. Let's just forget about it. I think Jacoby Brissett can be good, and based on some of the rumblings, it looks like this might be lower than we all thought. Now, obviously, reports are reports, and things can change on a dime. But if some of these reports that are coming out are true, it might not be as long as we think without Deshaun Watson throwing to Amari Cooper. And in that case, I mean,
okay.
If you let's put it this way. If you told me you get 10 games of Deshaun Watson, 10 games of Deshaun Watson. Oh, no, I'm sorry, 11 games of Deshaun Watson thrown to Amari Cooper, would you take that over full season Allen Robinson?
It's more tempting. I think the question is, how long does it take for them to sync up and figure things out? So really, what are we talking about? Maybe eight or 9 games of them playing at a high level. I mean, sure. I mean, you're just playing to get playoffs here. So the playoff format for Scott Fish is unique as well, because part of it is you add your average points per week to your first round or two.
Yep.
So you want to make sure that you're backfilling. You know, that's the question with Hopkins, right? Like, yeah,
Yep.
sure, I would love to have Hopkins for 8 weeks or 9 weeks or whatever with Kyler, but that first 6 weeks he's taken out of your average scores. So do you trust yourself to find somebody that's going to get you the majority of his points back, so that way the average doesn't hurt you? Or again, if you have enough wins, it doesn't matter as much. You get a better seed, but yeah.
Well, that's
I'm still out on Amari in general. I think for this year, it's just too risky in a single season.
We gotta start making some Amari bets then. We gotta start making some Amari bets. Because I think even if it's 17 with Jacoby Brissett, he'll be fine. He'll be, he's not gonna be wide receiver 1, but what, wide receiver 18, so a 2.5, like a halfway through the twos. That's definitely not out of the range of possibility, even with 17 of Jacoby Brissett. And I think they actually have a good coaching staff there who is gonna, put together an offense that doesn't leave, Jacoby Brissett out to dry. If this was the old Browns, you might be like, oh God, they're just gonna fit a round peg into a square hole and hope it works. But they actually have a good coaching staff there, so we'll see. But anyway, we could talk about all of this till the cows come home, as they say. But we should get out of here, man. So on our way out, want to thank everybody that was in chat. Chat was so good this week. We had questions. We had Lindsey Kennedy. We had our boy recovering Ridley Truther, Corey Deaton from the Junkies draft that we're in. We had Tater Wolf, which, by the way, amazing name. Love that name. That name. That's a great name. We had Jason Real with the Eddie Lacy comment, which was so clutch. That was a pull that I wasn't even thinking about, and it just worked so well. So thank you to all you. Thank you to everybody else who was just watching. Appreciate it. When the chat is lit, it makes the show just that much better. Just remember, if you were in the chat and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Please hit the bell. Please leave a comment. I do need to get a little bit better. I was on like a really good streak of checking comments, and then I kind of fell off. That's on me, but start doing that so that we can interact even more. And so let's do that. And then listen, you can't make it on a Wednesday at 9:00. Sometimes it happens, but you're listening to us in podcast form. Thank you guys too, because that obviously always helps. Just remember, subscribe if you're not subscribing for some reason. Maybe you saw us promoting on Twitter. Maybe a friend told you about us and you listen to us and you like us. And that rate and review. It helps out with algorithms. I'll always say I don't understand them, but I know they help. So please do that. And you know what? On that note, Drew, we are out of here.
Late.